Your goal is a collection of transcripts and notes from months of prisoner interrogations. The information is stored on a military-grade laptop, kept in the main holding area downstairs.
Hey, what's up, agents? How y'all doing? Hope everybody's hanging in there, being as safe as you guys need to be. So I recently did the Strega versus capacitor video, and as somebody pointed out, I did forget to test the mortar turret. In fact, what it was is I kind of didn't test the specialization specific skills. Most of them, it wouldn't matter anyway, but he was right. The turret actually, the mortar turret is a legitimate skill that does, as you will see, get buffed by the Strega and the capacitor. So to what extent, I just wanted to cover that. And at the same time, now is a great time for me to kind of bring back and show, now that we've had some changes in talents, some changes in the brand sets, I'm bringing back the newest iteration of the OG boom build, which is our NinjaBoom build. So I'm going to use that build to show off the damage potential of the capacitor and the Strega with both the mortar, since that was the thing brought up. I also want to show the maximum damage potential of the cluster seeker mines using these two iterations. So thank you so much for checking this out. Hopefully you guys are entertained, learned something new by this. If so, smashing that like button would be greatly appreciated. Hopefully by the end of this, I will have earned your guys subscriptions if I haven't already. Best thing you can do to help my channel is to share this video. And any comments you have, any suggestions, or anything you want to see in the future, please leave those comments down below. All right, without further ado, let's get into this. So as I mentioned, we're going to be using the NinjaBoom build for this. So let's quickly cover what we are using. So this is based around the Ninja Bike backpack. So we get all three cores, the weapon, armor, and skill tier. We're going to run a haste mod on here just to minimize the amount of time in between skill uses. And of course, we're using the Ninja primarily for the resourceful talent. So every one of these brand sets that we use, we will get one additional brand set added to it. So we'll start out with the Grupo Sombra. Also, I will quickly note, all these pieces can pretty much be interchanged where they're at, except for the backpack, which of course we have to use the Ninja Bike. And with the normal iteration of this build, we would use the Caesar's Guard versus the Empress International with glass cannon. That is to make sure that we can put all the mines out. But for this testing, we're going to be using glass cannon to try to maximize our damage and just show what maximum potential is. So, that being said, we're using one Grupo Sombra, which gives us the 13% crit hit damage. This is down from the 15% previously. We do get 20% explosive damage on this guy. For the minor attribute, we're going to be looking at skill damage. The other one, you could use what you want. You can use, I recommend using skill haste or armor per second if you're actually planning on using the build for something more than just paper type or damage numbers. And then we're using a haste mod on the mask. Now, China Light, we're using one piece, netting us the 2-piece bonus. The 1-piece bonus gets us 15% explosive damage. The second bonus we get from Resourceful adds 20% skill haste onto this. We're going to be running with the minor attribute of skill damage, and then again, your choice, skill haste or armor per second. Now we're going to be using 2 pieces of Empress International. Both of these, we're using the chest piece. Normally I'd run Caesar's Guard, but in this case, for the damage numbers, again, we're running with Glass Cannon. And then I'm running the Empress International holster as well. So, what this is going to do is it's going to nail us the 10% skill health, which really doesn't do much for us. It will net us the 10% skill damage, and most importantly, it will net us the 8% skill efficiency, which buffs every element of our skills. Of course, skill damage on this, your choice of skill haste or armor per second, and a skill haste mod. Lastly, we're going to slot in a Hana U. This will net us the 10% skill haste as well as the 10% skill damage. Minor attribute skill damage, again your choice, haste, armor per second. Alright guys, so we get 20% explosive damage from the Grupo Sombra. We get 15% explosive damage from China Light. So that's 35% right there. On top of that, we get 10% from the specialization. So we're getting an additional 45% explosive damage to the overall damage we're doing. So nice little buff there. Alright, now let's quickly look at the skills. Of course, we're going to be using the Mortar because that's what the comment was about. And it's one of the highest damage skills in the game. We're going to be coupling that with the cluster mines. So quickly, let's talk about the base damage that we're looking at on our character screen. So I will quickly note our turret is at expertise level 15. We have a 10.8 second cooldown. We have 10 shots. The base damage is about 3.9 million, and the bleed is rated at 59k. For 8.3 seconds. Our cluster mines are all the way at level 27, so the cluster mines are maxed out. We have a 29 second cooldown with this iteration. We put out 10 mines per throw. Their base damage is also 3.9 million, and we have a radius of 2 meters. Now, when we add Glass Cannon into the equation, although it doesn't show on the paper screen, what we're looking at, the turret and the mines base damage moves to roughly 5.6 million. Alright, so first let's get into the turret and what the damage potential we have. What's the damage range that we can achieve with the turret? We're going to look at 7 different aspects. We're going to be looking at the capacitor at 40 stacks, which is a lot easier to maintain as we covered in the last video. Then we're going to look at the Strega, both 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stacks. And then lastly, we're going to go with 5 stacks plus swapping over to the Harmony to proc perfectly in sync to stack those bonuses on top of each other. So let's check out what sort of damages we're looking at. So a capacitor 40 stacks, we're looking at 7.8 million damage along with 103,000 bleed per tick. Now, we're going to swap to the Strega, and at 1 stack, we buff our damage from 5.6 up to 6.5 million damage and 98k bleed. With 2 stacks, that bumps up from 6.5 to 7.3, and we move up to 104,000 per tick. Three stacks, we're looking at 8.1 million and 160k bleed. Now, we kick that up to 4 stacks. We're looking at 8.9 million for the Mortar Blast and 129k bleed. ramp all the way up to 5 stacks. We're looking at 9.7 million for the mortar's initial damage, and then 141k per tick of that bleed. Alright guys, now we're really going to pump it up, and this is where we hit our maximum damage. Strega, 5 stacks, plus adding in Harmony. What can we do? Look at that. 10.3 million damage. And we're doing so much damage, we don't even have an idea of what that tick is. Now, if we do the math, that should put us right about 147, 148k per tick of bleed to any enemy that withstands that 10.3 million damage hit. All right, now, not to leave the cluster mines out, let's quickly talk about the maximum potential that we could hit with cluster mines. I'm not going to go through all the Strega stacks. We're just going to compare capacitor at 40 stacks. Capacitor at 40 stacks, we can hit around 7.2 million with the cluster mines. Now, when we compare that to the maximum damage potential of the Strega, 5 stacks, and we add in perfectly in sync, we're looking at 10.3 million from the cluster mines. So we have effectively, running solo, allowed ourselves to hit over 10 million with cluster mines. Not the explosive mine, with the cluster mines. So that's pretty phenomenal. So what does that really mean? Well, what that means is the Strega has higher potential, but there's a whole lot more hoops we have to jump through, especially if you're solo. You need more than 5 enemies, because you have to get 5 enemies killed within the same range to stack up. Then within the time limit, you have to be able to proc in sync on one of the other enemies, and then get your skill off and damage them. Keep in mind, they're not sitting still, static, like in the range. They're moving all around. They're being tactical. So the actual potential to hit max damage with the Strega when you're alone, it's almost non-existent. So ultimately, the capacitor is such an easier way to go, not to mention the fact that we're basically getting more weapon damage the majority of the time as well. Now, so what does that mean? Well, ultimately, the Strega is still amazing for skill builds. And here, what would be the optimal situation I can imagine? It would be running in a group of 4, 3 guys running DPS builds or whatnot with the Strega. So multiple stacks are getting stacked up by multiple people, and then all I really have to do is I could still use my capacitor to ramp up my stacks, keep up my 60% skill damage, and add that to the 70%, so 75% maximum potential amplified damage from the Strega. And of course that's better because A, the capacitor does more weapon damage, but B, the perfect in sync will only net us 40% additional weapon and skill damage, while the capacitor will net us that 60% additional skill damage. So, I'm still, and this is my opinion, the Strega is awesome, just not in your hands. It's awesome in your teammates' hands. Skill builds, we still want to go with the capacitor. And what do I think of the Mortar? Holy shit, it does a lot of damage. So, of course, this is nothing new. And remember that these damage numbers are using glass cannon, which I never actually do in my actual NinjaBoom build. I'm always using the Caesar's Guard because every kill I get I want the chances of resetting those mines. I do not want to have to wait 30 seconds between each set of mines. So the only real way we have of mitigating that with this build, other than all the skill haste we're stacking up, is through the use of skill. All right, guys, so that is my thoughts. I think Unnerve is a great talent. It's simply better used in the hands of other teammates, allowing them to ramp up your damage. All right, guys, well, let me know what you think. Did I miss anything? Did I forget? Is there anything I missed in this? I think I covered it all. Hopefully, this is entertaining, if nothing else. Maybe you guys learned something new. If so, slapping that like button would be greatly appreciated. Hopefully by now I've earned your guys' subscriptions. Best thing you can do to help my channel is to share this video. And leave any comments down below of anything I missed or anything you guys want to see in the future. All right, you agents, be as safe as you need to be out there. We'll catch you all in the dark zone. Peace out, everybody.
Looks like you got True Sun's reinforcements headed your way.
North or south side?
Both. Heavier concentration to the south.
With all those gates sealed, the north exit should be closer.
contacts. All clear.
You just recovered intel that's going to be a whole lot of help to Odessa in the short term, but to all of us in the long run. You also effectively put this hellhole out of commission.